Hi. Hi, Sandra. I'm just waiting another minute, and then we'll get going. I did finally hear from actually two people, Susie and the fellow you referred me to. So that's in the process. My voice is a little bit hoarse, but should be okay. Yeah. Okay. So just bear with me for a minute here. Okay. Well, I'm just going to start. Okay. So today we're looking at Neptune aspects, and Neptune is one of the weirdest or obscure or hardest to figure out. In some ways, they pick it up in a second. Other ways, it can be so evasive. Something's not as it seems where Neptune is. So it runs quite a big gamut. There's quite a vast spectrum of how this works in a person's natal chart. Neptune goes between belief and faith and rapture and vision and inspiration and great social conscience and great dedication. These are all really positive sides of Neptune. But those are the positive extremes and one things one aspires to. But usually if you fall off of that, it's tied up to the sorrow, confusion, dependency is a big one, expectations. These are all factors that are part of Neptune. So when Neptune makes an aspect, that channel is open, that energy is there, and it can come out as any of these things across a lifetime. So where Uranus had a shocking or a destabilizing that broke away things, it broke up structures so that something different had come in, it creates a sort of anxiety in someone that's always worried about a change. Neptune doesn't create the anxiety. It creates the belief, the faith in someone, the belief in oneself, the belief in someone, and that belief can be highly true or can be really gullible or naive. So each of the planets outside of Saturn, they create a vision, or they weaken Saturn, or they weaken our structure or our common sense or our basic defenses in some way. Neptune dissolves and confuses issues. Neptune it's like a drinking happy hour for an alcoholic. The happy hour doesn't stop. So good intentions, I'm sorry, guilt, sorrows are tied up with Neptune, things that one believes in that or one doesn't live up to, or someone else lets you down. How could you do this? How could you do this to me? I loved you. How could? So in a way, it's faith in oneself, faith in life. Belief is it's a useful thing. It's our vision and faith and the belief in that we're going to be somewhere, we're going to do something, we're going to go somewhere. That's there. But if it weakens Saturn and we don't work to get there, often it's misguided faith or misguided belief, which can get one into all sorts of trouble. Gee, someone drinks alcohol and has a couple of drinks, say, well, this is nice. How could this be illegal? Or should this be legal? Well, it's not really illegal. Pot, another thing, people say, wow, this is so nice. How could this be illegal? What's wrong with this? Like it's, you can have a certain belief and not everyone else around you can have it, or everyone can have a belief and you can't live up to it. So there's a factor of evasiveness, a factor of aloofness, a factor of aversion. It kind of clouds issues. It confuses the truth. It dresses things in a coat of many colors, so it looks super romantic. When you first meet someone certainly seems romantic and idealized, and a year or two later, you get down to basics and it's hard to maintain the same ideal or enchantment. So this enchantment, when it works well, it works towards either even a spiritual development. It can be fanatical or it can be very humble and sincere. So it can pump. Neptune exaggerates and magnifies, much like Jupiter does, only even more so, and on subtler things. So you can think it's positive when you believe in someone, or you have to take a trip, or you're going somewhere, and I got to do this, and you go do it. And it's the one thing you always want to do, and you went and did it. And then when you come back, nothing works the same. It wasn't what it seemed to be, or you got there, it wasn't what it seemed to be. People weren't reliable. Things got let down. Things got complicated. So Neptune complicates or confuses issues. If you don't have any expectations, you're not likely to be let down. But it's not black and white issues. So if truth is black and white, it's not. It's really 264 shades of gray, and has a whole spectrum of what's valid or not. So what's true for a 17-year-old or what's true for a 25-year-old is very different from what's true for a 45-year-old or a 60-year-old. It changes as our beliefs and our sense of reality changes. So Neptune creates expectation, but you can't tell in the chart just by looking at it if it's good or bad, if the person's really spiritual or socially dedicated, or if they're not. You almost have to observe and see if it's moving this way or that way. And if it's going too strong in one way, you could see, oh, it's gullible. There's potential sorrows and guilts and letdowns with it. If it's moving towards socially conscious or good things, that's a good thing, but it's going to have a cost for personal. There'll be a personal sacrifice required to live that dedication. You have to give up something to get something. It's this idea of sacrifice, vision, belief, sorrow, and guilt, and the escapes or fantasies that someone, a great designer, a filmmaker, can have great visions and make the movie. And it can touch all sorts of people. But usually to make the movie about a dependency or about some vision, there's usually an underbelly of codependency or difficulty within it. So Neptune is a tangled web. It's hard to even call it a web, it's a fog. Something's not as it seems. It weakens, it confuses, it dilutes things. But you can't see the edge of what's being diluted and what's not. Two people care for each other. Where's the division between what's yours and what's mine? This is ours, this is one. And you can be one with somebody, but that person may not be one with you. Then there's going to be problems. So you could put it down to puppy love could be there, and everybody goes through that, and then they get let down, devastated, then they get a more real sense of things. But essentially, it's not how come people do things to us, it's how come we set things up. How come we attracted this? How come I allowed this to happen to me? You can't really be lied to if you're not lying to yourself or expecting someone's going to live up to something they didn't agree to live up to. Or temptation, or being tempted. So many great schemes, great dreams, and temptations come in with Neptune. So you have it in your signs, you have it in your house. Everybody for 15, 16 years has the same attitude. Like from 42 to when America joined the Second World War and started building it, bringing all the big planes and stuff, beginning of air travel, Neptune going into Libra, until 1956. That was the marriage divorce dilemma. The dream of the marriage could end up being so many divorces. We want to be anything's better than war, and not always. So by 56, Neptune was in Scorpio. And from 56 to 1970, from the beginning of Elvis Presley up to the Beatles, the splitting up of the Beatles. This was the sex and drugs and rock and roll is enough to satisfy my soul. It's the dreams about passions. Everybody, and the whole generation or two has this. So it affects the music, the movies, the waves of things, the beliefs and things. These things build up like waves and come down like waves. Sometimes they build up like this and they just crash down. Sometimes they just come up like a swell and then come down like a swell. But like you can live on the ocean and you can be affected by various storms and things like this. And Neptune does rule the storms. But if there's a big swell and it starts to the sea, or there's a tsunami and it starts to overflow, there's no defensive against something like that. So what happens if you have that within yourself? Sort of all the people be more Neptune's in the same sign for so many years. And the sun goes around it and, like 4 times a year for about a week or two. Everyone's born at that time is going to have their sun square to Neptune, or the moon going around every month. Everything else is moving and it can pick. So the other planets are kind of like karmic factors across lifetimes. Maybe the things we didn't deal with in another lifetime. Maybe beliefs or things, we come back and we have these sensitivities or vulnerabilities. If we didn't have these great sensitivities, we wouldn't be challenged to rise to great expectations. So these great expectations, great visions, great dreams, that's Neptune. But the solution, the good qualities of Neptune are simplicity, humility, self-reliance, not depending on someone. Self-reliance one in so many ways, without being, when you're thinking someone else is you're caring for someone else more than yourself, you're almost in a dependency. Like you lose, if you can do that, but then you're going to lose perspective on how to relate to people normally. Of course, you may not want to. So wherever Neptune is a puzzle, whenever it makes an aspect, it's a puzzle. The conjunctions, they can be positive or negative. The conjunctions are inclined to go to more, they have the potential of going to a positive visionary extreme, but they still will isolate yourself. By having a great vision, you will isolate yourself from anybody that doesn't have a great vision. If you believe in yourself and you don't believe in others, that sets up a scenario. If you believe in others but you don't believe in yourself, that sets up in others. If you believe in others and yourself, wow, that's quite an incredible state to be in. So there's always something socially conscious, something mystical, something spiritual to aspire to. So Neptune, in a way, is a sense of rapture. But when it's negative, it can be believing the wrong things. It can be self-righteousness. I'm together and you're not. I'm going to be saved. I'm one of the 144,000 that will be saved. And you're all going to hell. It's a belief. And once you pick it up in yourself, what's in you, it's going to be projected out to others or affect others one way or another.